Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lorna Virgili, Hispanic Public Information Officer, and joining us today is Dr. Keisha Davis, the county's health officer, Dr. Nina Ashford, Chief of Public Health Services, Mr. Sean O'Donnell, Deputy Chief of Public Health Services, Dr. James Bridgers, Director, Department of Health and Human Services, Dr. Earl Stoddard, Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, and today we have several guests for you. Mr. Jim Resnick with Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services, Community Risk Reduction. From Montgomery County Police Department, we have Captain Warren Jensen, as well as Captain Nick Picerno and Commander Brian Dillman. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Mr. County Executive, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I hope everybody's ready for a good Thanksgiving. I know I'll be going home tonight and starting to cook a turkey, and I'm sure it'll be perfectly done by tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for everything and for joining as always. As we approach Thanksgiving, I want to take a moment to reflect on the spirit of this holiday, being grateful for what we have and extending a hand to those in need. This past weekend, I had the privilege of seeing this spirit in action across our community. I joined nonprofit organizations and community groups to distribute Thanksgiving baskets to families that were in need. And on Saturday, I visited the Imam Center in Silver Spring and the Montgomery County Muslim Foundation in Gaithersburg. And I got to see, folks in both places providing support to the community. It's really important that we continue to do that. There continue to be large numbers of hungry people. I know our food programs are still at levels that far exceed where we were before the pandemic, and so the needs are real and the needs are still out there. This year, the Holiday Giving Project, organized by our Department of Health and Human Services and working with partners, distributed nearly 11,000 food baskets to residents in need. Last Friday, I attended our National Adoption Day event at the courthouse, where 11 children found their forever families. The event celebrates the adoptions of children who came through our foster care system, and it's a joyous event with laughing, crying, and plenty of hugging. Watching those families come together was a reminder of how much love and connection and support can transform lives. And I want to send out a thank you to our child welfare and circuit court staff for planning the annual event. As I commented when I went into the courtroom, it was really nice walking into a courtroom where everybody's laughing and smiling. I do not think I've ever seen that any other time, but being in an adoption ceremony there before. So it was kind of nice to see that setting. And I want to thank everybody who was a part of that, and particularly the foster parents who have decided to take on these children. I'm going to put a link in our chat to the celebration so people can tune in, can actually see some of what happened. These experiences highlight what this season's all about, which is sharing, supporting, and ensuring that everyone in our community feels valued and cared for. As we move from Thanksgiving into the holiday shopping season, I also want to talk about another way we can show our support, and that's by shopping locally. This Saturday is Small Business Saturday, and I encourage our residents and visitors to support our local businesses this holiday season. We've been doing this for a few years now, and supporting small businesses matters. Studies show that for every dollar spent locally, approximately 67 cents stays within our county. And according to the recently published QuickBooks 2024 Holiday Shopping Report, small business owners surveyed say they expect to earn an average of 33% of their total yearly income from holiday sales this year. Unfortunately, the survey also cited that customers are expected to spend about $85 billion less this holiday season, a 34% year-over-year downturn. So that's a pretty big downturn. That is concerning, especially since many small businesses will feel the hardship much larger than the large corporations are going to experience. To make shopping even easier locally, I'm pleased to announce that Montgomery County Department of Transportation is offering free parking in county-owned garages and lots on Small Business Saturday, November 30th, and again on Super Saturday, December 21st, one of the busiest shopping days of the year. Please note that parking at on-street meters is not free and will still be enforced. We hope that free parking in the garages will help encourage residents to explore our local businesses and join with everything Montgomery County has to offer. Staying safe during the holidays is also important. We also want to take a moment to remind everyone about the importance of your safety during this time of year, whether you're driving, shopping, or even cooking at home. Today is one of the busiest travel days of the year, and I hope that all of those traveling will be patient and kind to each other, as the lines unlikely are going to be long. Ensuring safety on our roads is a very significant responsibility of state and local governments, but it's really also a responsibility of us. I mean, reinforce when we see people who are driving unsafely. We're the ones that make decisions about how we drive. And driving safely is a conscious decision that we're asking people to make. There's far too much speeding, far too much people driving on the wrong side of the road or going through red lights and stop signs. With more and more vehicles on the road during this holiday, it's probably more important than ever that people be mindful of how they drive. And again, it's on us, not just on the police department, to make us safe. Last week, the county's Vision Zero annual report for FY24 was published, and there are three highlights I take away from the report. One is we have 10 projects underway in the high injury network. We call it the HIN or HIN corridors. HIN corridors are the county's most dangerous roads, representing only 3% of the county roads, but 41% of the serious and fatal injuries. We succeeded in closing a loophole in Noah's Law, which will require more impaired drivers to install ignition interlocks on their vehicles and reduce repeat drunk driving offenses in the process. I don't understand why this isn't the first thing we do with the drunk drivers, install these things right away. Alcoholism is usually habitual, not a one-time thing, and making sure that people who are driving have not been excessively drinking is in all of our interest. And frankly, it's in the interest of the people who are drinking and driving. This change was enacted on October 1st, and I want to thank Senators Will Smith and Jeff Waldstreicher for their efforts on getting the loophole closed, as well as Governor Moore and his team for supporting this effort during the General Assembly. And I want to especially express my gratitude to the Leota family for their advocacy to save lives of others on behalf of their son Noah's life and his legacy. Another point is we conducted 15,795 traffic stops for excessive speeding, and we had 360,363 speed citations from automatic enforcement, otherwise known as speed cameras for the most part. And as you can see from this chart, there were 253 serious and fatal crashes in 2023, including interstate roadways in the county. This equates to a decrease from the 2015 to 2019 average. However, compared to 2022, there were 13 more serious crashes, but 6 fewer fatal crashes in 23. Whether you're behind the wheel or crossing the street, we urge you to stay alert, make safe choices to protect yourself and those around you. Another initiative that's making a difference is our Drone as First Responder program in Silver Spring and Wheaton. This program is helping our department respond faster and more effectively to incidents. Recently, these drones have been instrumental in apprehending shoplifting suspects, which not only prevents a loss for our local businesses, but also enhances public safety. We're actively working to expand this program to Bethesda, Chevy Chase, and Germantown, Gaithersburg areas. And let's not forget about safety at home. This season is one of the busiest for MCFRS, the fire department, in case you're wondering what the initials are, in responding to both fire and emergency calls. The National Fire Prevention Association cited Thanksgiving, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day as the top days for residential fires. To talk more about this holiday safety issues, this and other issues, I'm now going to turn it over to Jim Resnick, fire safety educator, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue, as well as Montgomery County Police Department Commander Brian Dillman, Captain Warren Jensen, and Captain Nick Perserna. So I'll turn it over to all of you. figure out your order.
Mr. Resnick, can you please unmute yourself?
I'll try to be quick. I was so quick I started talking before I unmuted. Thank you, Mr. Elrich, for the introduction and for pointing out, as you did, that this is the top time of year for fires in the homes. Along those lines, we want to make sure that everyone is aware that Thanksgiving cooking is unfortunately one of the more dangerous things that we do throughout the season. This flyer, as well as so much other fire safety information and fire prevention information, is available on our website. You can get to that through montgomerycountymd.gov and then search fire and rescue. As Mr. Elrich mentioned, tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, is the top day in the 365 or 366 days of the year for home fires, and it's due to two primary things. Unattended cooking. We've got something going in the kitchen or even perhaps outside. If we're frying a turkey outside using our grills or things like that, and we have left those areas so the cooking is unattended. And the other issue that we see is also unattended candles. Sadly, we had a very, very serious fire just yesterday in the county from someone who did have a candle that was left unattended. That candle ended up causing hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage, excuse me, to a home in the Silver Spring area. So these are stark reminders about the importance of having any kind of a heat source monitored by someone who was responsible. And if you have to leave the kitchen, turn off the stove. If you have to leave an area where the candles are burning, blow them out before you leave. The fire department loves flameless electric candles. As we're talking about home safety for this time of year, there's also a lot of information that we have about holiday trees, Christmas trees, or whatever other celebrations people have in their homes. We've seen an uptick in the number of Christmas tree related fires in the county, in the state, and nationally over the years. A lot of folks starting on Friday are probably going to go out and start purchasing live trees. Those trees need to be watered every single day. Don't take a day off without watering your Christmas tree. Check the tree, make sure that there's not a lot of pine needles coming off or anything like that. And if there's any doubt about the safety of your tree, get it outside of your home. We should never leave lights on our trees during the evening, overnight. We want to make sure that we're so careful about fire around there. Also, while we're talking about safety in the home, I'm going to make a suggestion for anyone who celebrates any kind of a holiday or a birthday this time of year, and it's a great either stocking stuffer or birthday present or anything like that. Purchase working new smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. These are ways to let the people in your life know that you love them. You can even decorate these with hearts or something like that. You can write a little personal note with a Sharpie on here. And if you need assistance in putting up your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, contact the fire department. You can do that by calling 311 or going to MC 311. A couple of last things as we're talking about fire safety. The county had a fire, actually not just the county, but the state had an outdoor burn restriction until just recently, and that was due to the extended drought conditions that we had. We ran a lot of fires, outdoor fires in woods, in fields, near people's homes, and the like. The good news is we've started to get some moisture back. We are still in a drought situation, but it is not as severe as it was. So the outdoor burn ban has been lifted, but that does not keep us from having to be careful with fire pits, any kind of outdoor burning that we're doing. It's important that those fires of any kind be kept under control with a responsible adult nearby, a means to put out the fire very, very quickly if wind conditions change or anything like that. And we should never leave ashes smoldering or anything like that overnight or again unattended in any way. As the county executive mentioned, a lot of people are going to be on the road. They're on the road today and elsewhere. Don't forget about the little ones in your lives, okay? Everyone in a vehicle needs to be buckled up safely, and that includes small children and infants. The county has a car seat program available as part of the fire and rescue service, but we also have the ability to have other people from the police departments in the area, from Health and Human Services and so on, who are qualified car seat technicians. That's another way that we can do all this. Last but not least, when you're thinking about gifts for the holidays, a lot of times people are buying electronic devices. It's so important that you read the owner's manual, and we strongly suggest that the devices that you get are Underwriters Laboratories or otherwise certified as being safe devices. We don't want to have one of these presents that we get for someone be the cause of a fire or something else like that. That's kind of it for the fire rescue. Oh, keep your trees watered. I think I've covered everything that I needed to for now, and I'll take any questions or I'll turn it over to my partners from law enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Brasnick. Let's take it over with the partners from law enforcement. Captain Jensen.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about traffic safety in our education and enforcement efforts. I'm Captain Warren Jensen, the director of our Montgomery County Police Department's Traffic Operation Division. As we approach the busy holiday season, it's important to remember that traffic safety is everyone's responsibility. Whether you're driving, walking, or riding, we all play a role in keeping our community safe. Today, I just want to share some crucial safety tips to help ensure we all make it to our destination safely and avoid preventable tragedies. The holidays are a time when many people are on the move. Whether you're traveling across the state, visiting family and friends, or doing some last-minute shopping, traffic will be heavy. Allow yourself extra time for travel. Holiday traffic can be unpredictable, and allowing for delays will reduce stress and help you stay calm behind the wheel. During the holidays, the roads are often crowded with more drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. Here are some tips to help reduce the risk of collisions. Always obey the posted speed limit, especially in residential areas, school zones, and busy shopping districts. Speeding increases the likelihood of collisions, and stopping distances are much longer in wet or icy conditions. Distracted driving continues to be one of the leading causes of collisions. Avoid texting, avoid using your phone, or engaging in other distractions while driving. Keep your attention on the road at all times. Another big topic right now is pedestrian safety, which we're working very hard on. But please be mindful of pedestrians. Pedestrian traffic increases during the holiday season, especially around shopping centers and busy streets. Always yield to pedestrians at crosswalks. Never drive around a vehicle that is stopped for a pedestrian. If you're driving in neighborhoods, be especially cautious of children playing outside. Another really big one here is driving while impaired and alcohol consumption. So the holidays see an increase in alcohol consumption, which significantly raises the risk of impaired driving. Montgomery County and MCPD are committed to keeping our streets safe, and we want to remind everyone of a couple things. Never drive drunk. If you're planning to drink, please plan ahead. Use a designated driver, take public transportation, take a taxi, or use a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft. If you see someone who is impaired behind the wheel, call 911. It could save a life. MCPD will be out in full force throughout the holiday season, conducting sobriety checkpoints and increased patrols to prevent impaired driving. Officers will be actively looking for impaired drivers and will take immediate action to remove them from the road. Which brings me to our annual holiday task force. To further bolster our efforts during the holiday season, Montgomery County Police have launched our annual holiday task force, which began last Wednesday and will continue through early January. The initiative brings together officers from our Alcohol Initiatives Unit, all 6 district stations, and our allied agencies. The primary focus of this task force is the enforcement of Maryland's impaired driving laws. Our goal is to ensure that impaired drivers are promptly identified and removed from our roads, preventing dangerous collisions and protecting everyone on the road. As part of this initiative, we will be conducting sobriety checkpoints and additional patrols during key times throughout the holiday season. If you plan to drink, again, please do so responsibly and always have a safe way to get home. The next thing I want to talk about is Vision Zero very briefly. Montgomery County Police, in conjunction with the Vision Zero office, the Department of Transportation, are committed to achieving Vision Zero, a future where no lives are lost in traffic-related incidents. This goal guides our work and motivates us to take proactive steps to reduce crashes, injuries, and fatalities on our roadways. The top causes of traffic collisions are speeding and aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving, and the lack of seatbelt use. In addition to our holiday task force, officers in each of the district stations and our central traffic unit are focused on education and enforcement of these violations that are likely to lead to traffic collisions. They will also be spread throughout the county conducting pedestrian safety enforcement. As part of this initiative, we urge everyone to drive defensively. Always be aware of your surroundings. Defensive driving means anticipating what others might do, staying alert, and being prepared to react to potential hazards. Following the rules of the road, whether you're driving or walking, can make all the difference. Simple actions like wearing your seatbelt, obeying traffic lights, and not using your cell phone while operating a vehicle and stopping at stop signs can and will save lives. As a pedestrian, make sure you're visible to drivers. Wear bright clothing and reflective materials, cross streets in well-lit areas, carry a flashlight after dark, and always try to cross at marked crosswalks or at the intersection. We know that traffic collisions during the holiday season can be devastating, but they are avoidable. We all have a part to play in making sure our families, friends, and fellow community members are safe. By planning ahead, driving carefully, never drinking and driving, and embracing the principles of Vision Zero, we can ensure that this holiday season is a time of joy and not tragedy. Just remember that every crash is preventable. I encourage everyone to take personal responsibility for their safety, whether on the road or as a pedestrian. Let's work together to make Montgomery County a safer place for all. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a great holiday season.
Thank you, Captain Jensen. Captain Pisarno, you have some remarks, I believe.
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks everybody for having me here today. So I am Captain Nick Pisarno. I'm the director of our Special Operations Division. I'm going to provide a quick update on our drone as first responder program and then give a little bit of information about avoiding porch pirates or like package theft. So as many of you know, our drone as first responder program just passed its 1-year milestone from its, no pun intended, from its launch. So we started our program in the 3rd District in downtown Silver Spring and then downtown Wheaton in our 4th District. We recently, as of the end of the summer, added a 3rd site in Gaithersburg, Montgomery Village area. And then we'll be having our 4th site in downtown Bethesda, hopefully in the next 30 to 45 days will come online. So we had a very successful program. In our first year of operation, we responded to 1,706 total calls. Of those 1,706, 1,205 of those times, about 75%, the drone was actually on scene before the first responding officers were. And that percentage is going to increase significantly in years 2 and upward because we acquired a technology that kind of lets us get ahead of things a bit. We didn't have that for the first couple weeks, month or 2 of the program. So I think you'll see in years 2 and up, we'll be the first on scene probably 80% of the time. And the other really important thing is when we are first on scene, we are arriving on scene an average of 51 seconds after the initial call for service goes in, which is huge. If you think about the amount of time it normally takes for someone to call 911, the call gets processed, the call gets dispatched, officers have to drive to the location. That could be a 3 to 5 minute response time. We're getting on scene in less than a minute, and that's huge. And that's one of the reasons why the program has been so successful is we are able to give real-time intelligence to officers as they arrive on scene, which lets them make better, more informed, and more efficient decisions. So we've seen a really successful first year of the program. The officers who run the program, who fly the drones, deserve a lot of the credit. And we really appreciate the support of the county executive's office, county council, and especially the community for being willing partners and willing participants in this program, understanding that we have to have special, that the program will only succeed if there's community buy-in to it. And I think we've shown in this year great successes in preventing crime, for making apprehensions for violent crime, and for also running a program that can be transparent and work with the community. So we're really proud of what we've done this first year, but looking forward to many more years of success. That kind of dovetails into my next part is talk about porch pirates and package theft. And this is kind of the time of year, with the prevalence of online shopping, the ease of online shopping, although we want people to buy local, that doesn't always doesn't always happen. So people will, often receive packages from shopping packages. The package will show up while they're at work, and during that period of time, somebody could take them. So a couple of different things you can do to kind of mitigate that risk. One is try to schedule your deliveries to be at times when you're going to be home. That way, the package doesn't sit in the porch very long. You get it, you bring it in. There are also services or different options you have in terms of when people deliver packages to residents, where they can put it either inside of something, they can put it in your garage. That's an option. You also could ask neighbors to look out for each other and grab your packages and bring them in. And the other thing we're really encouraging people to do is to sign up for our camera registry program, mococonnect.org. Again, it's www.mococonnect.org. That's through our real-time crime center, real-time intelligence center, where we are partnering with the community to either share camera feeds or register your camera feeds. And what that helps with package theft is, let's say you don't have a Ring camera or an Arlo camera or something at your house, but your neighbor does, right? If you have a package get stolen, well, we have the ability then, if we know what neighbors of yours have cameras, we can send them an email and ask, hey, have you seen anything unusual on your camera yesterday afternoon? Well, that person who stole a package from one person may have approached the porch of another person, saw the camera, and then walked away. Well, you may not have a camera feed at your house, but your neighbor may. And that might help us be able to get an idea of who it was that stole your package. Lets us have at least a first step towards that investigative process. There are some grants available to help with camera purchasing. Depending on where you live, there's information about that online. But I think to prevent theft, best advice I can give is to schedule your deliveries when you're not home, or have them go someplace where they're going to be secure. If you are the victim of a theft, please consider the fact of registering your camera with mococonnect.org. At least we know who has them, who we can reach out to. So if a theft does happen, we have the ability to have some investigative steps. So that's all I have. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to pass it off to my friend Commander Dillon.
Thank you, Captain Paserno. Commander Dillon, your turn.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy holidays. My name is Brian Dillman. I'm the commander of our 1st District, which encompasses the Rockville, North Bethesda, Potomac, and Poolsville areas. What I'm going to talk to you about is holiday shopping safety tips. Unfortunately, as we approach the holiday season, we know that certain crime trends tend to increase. They include theft from auto, strong arm and armed robberies, and even carjackings. As we enter the holiday season, all 6 district commanders will utilize resources, both visible and undetectable, as well as technology, to protect retail areas and provide a sense of safety for business owners, employees, and shoppers. We want everyone to feel safe as they shop and gather and enjoy the holiday seasons. Despite the fact that MCPD will be putting forth our best efforts to enhance public safety, we simply cannot be everywhere. We need everyone's assistance to attempt to deter criminal behavior. The following are some safety tips to assist in this joint endeavor. Always be aware of your surroundings. Avoid having an electronic device in both ears so you can hear what is going on around you. If you see something suspicious, call 911. See something, say something. Park in a well-lit spot. Be sure to close your windows, lock your doors, and place all shopping bags and valuables in the trunk or the hatch area, and then cover it up. Avoid carrying large sums of cash on you. Pay with credit cards or checks when possible. To deter pickpocketing and purse snatchers, don't overburden yourself with packages. Utilize a cart to carry excess packages. Be aware where you place your wallet or purse. Carry a purse close to your body and not dangling by long straps. You should place wallets or small purses inside a jacket pocket or a front pants pocket. If shopping with your children, tell them to always get a security guard or store clerk if they get separated from you so we can get them reunited. When approaching your car after shopping, be aware of your surroundings and have your keys in your hand so you can get into your car quickly. Always check the interior of your car before you get inside it. If someone is loitering around your vehicle, avoid going to your car. Keep walking until the person leaves and call 911 if you deem it necessary. Be wary of individuals who ask directions or hand out flyers in the area of your vehicle. Trust your instincts. Lock your windows and doors as soon as you enter your vehicle. When coming to a stop in your vehicle, always leave enough room before you and the car in front of you so that you can maneuver out of it if necessary. If a suspicious person approaches your vehicle while inside, drive away as quickly and as carefully as possible. Don't stop to assist a stranger whose car is broken down. Instead, call 911 so that the police can provide assistance. And lastly, if a carjacker threatens you with a weapon or otherwise harm you, do not resist. Give up your property. Your life is not worth your own personal property. Get out of the general area as soon as practical and call 911. Be a good witness by taking note of the subject's sex, race, hair and eye color, height, weight, or build, clothing, tattoos, anything specific such as an accent or limp or anything else. And lastly, one of our vulnerable populations is our elderly population. We know they're preyed upon far too often, especially this time of year. The Montgomery County Police Department Volunteer Resources section has a Keeping Seniors Safe or KSS program. They can be contacted at 240-773-5625. Some of the topics they discuss are safe shopping habits and parking lot safety, home safety and personal preparedness for an emergency, fraud and scams, identity theft, and so on. So that's another good resource. So that's all I have for now, unless anyone has any questions, and I wish everyone happy holidays.
Thank you, Commander. Members of the media, we are going to open it up right now for questions for the public safety team regarding holiday safety. Raise your hands if you'd like to pose any questions to either Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Services or Montgomery County Police Department. Any questions? Raise your hands. No questions this afternoon regarding holiday safety? Going once? Twice? Okay. All of you commanders and captains and Mr. Resnick, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You can remain on this call, but if you need to depart, please feel free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you for coming on, taking the time out today to talk with people about this. And a lot of this stuff is really important. I was going to ask Mr. Resnick about frying turkeys in a vat of oil, one of the most dangerous things you can possibly do.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Elrich. We see a lot of problems with people not having figured out the right amount of oil. And if they put too much oil in and then lower the turkey in, that can cause the superheated oil to spill out and cause a fire. And if you think about it, there's a flame right there. And a huge problem that we've seen, and sadly there's videos that people can see on YouTube of this and so on, is people taking turkeys that are still frozen and placing them in the superheated oil, and that literally will cause an explosion. We've also seen situations when there's inclement weather, and unfortunately we're supposed to get some rain tomorrow morning at least that I'm aware of, and with people trying to cook their turkeys, deep frying them or using a grill or something like that inside their garage or under their deck or in other places where if there is a fire, it's going to spread into the home very, very rapidly. So we plead with people to follow the instructions that are written on the fryer and use proper safety methods like that.
Thank you for raising all that. I guess this is one of those times when it really matters whether you read instructions or how to do something.
Absolutely, all the time, actually.
Thank you for highlighting that for us.
Yes,
and
sir.
thank you everybody else for being here. And I'm going to go back to. I just want to remind everybody that while most of us are going to be gathering with family and friends or traveling on vacation during this time of the year, Our police officers, our firefighters, our paramedics, as well as the employees in corrections and also in MCDOT, transportation, are going to have to be away from their families. Many of the people who work for us do not have the luxury of saying, this is the day we're taking off and we don't have to go to work. So I especially want to thank all those of our employees who have to be at work for Thanksgiving or giving up the time with their family and friends to keep all of us safe. I think it's worthwhile for all of us to remember that we have people who put our community's need above things they might want to do, and we should appreciate them for that. I just want to make sure they understand that I appreciate them for that. On a happy note, Monday, we celebrated the second anniversary of the signing of the University of Maryland Montgomery County MOU that established the Institute for Health Computing. We call it UM-IHC, University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing, and the public opening of their temporary research space in North Bethesda. They've been in there for a while. They've grown to over 70 employees already. Institute's not just a milestone for Montgomery County, but a game changer for the entire state of Maryland and beyond. And it represents the future of health and technology innovation. And it's already making a big impact. This effort began with a simple question that I asked some people is like, how do we transfer using artificial intelligence and advanced computing? How do we take that capability and use it to transform drug discovery and healthcare? And thanks to the visionary leadership from the University of Maryland, including Dean Varshney and President Pines from College Park, Dean Gladwin and President Gerald from the University of Maryland of Baltimore, and Chancellor Perman and the CEO of the University of Maryland Medical System, Dr. Suntha, we turned that idea into reality. And it is so great to see all these organizations working together. Somebody noted that when this discussion first came up, it was not the most likely pairing of the University of Maryland College Park and the University of Baltimore. But this level of cooperation is really needed to make this become what it is rapidly becoming. And I'm just really grateful that we found a way to work together and partner. I know USG is working with an agreement with IHC, so their students will have a pathway there. So a lot of things we wanted to put in place, and I'd hoped we'd be able to get in place just a couple of years ago, are all coming together now. Today, the Institute has 70 researchers, 17 interns, and a growing partnership with private companies. And the Institute has already spun off one of its discoveries into its own faculty-led enterprise. So we have our first, product coming out of this. The partnership is about more than research. It's also about preparing the next generation of scientists and tech professionals right here in Montgomery County. And for the first time, we're anchoring our life sciences sector with a graduate level academic research program. That's a critical step forward for the county because we were the only one of the major life sciences hubs in the country that didn't have and wasn't anchored by academic research. And now we have that, and we're going to get to see what the real benefits of that are. The university comes not only with just the academic research, but Dr. Gladwin, who came down from Pennsylvania, brings with him commercialization of academic research. And that's a big deal. I mean, discoveries are great, and we look forward to every new leaf that gets turned over and we find new things. But it's really important that when we find new things, that institutions find ways to get those products onto the market or turn those ideas into products. And that's what's happening at the University of Maryland. I could not be more excited about that. And we're also building a talent pipeline and innovative infrastructure that we need to stay competitive. And when you add this to the recently opened, we built a training facility for production of drugs, for research, and also just simply to be able to have the capacity to produce them, a GMP manufacturing facility. That adds to one of the things that we know we needed in Montgomery County. We needed a facility where we could train people to work in these kind of factories, and we're able to do that now. So there are things that are coming together that are really important, and it's just exciting to be in this place. University of Maryland as a partner is a big deal. They consistently rated among the top universities in the world in the fields of quantum computing and AI. And I want to thank Lori Locascio, if she's listening. She's the former head of NIST. She was the person who, when I asked her the question of could we do this work and bring this work to bear on life sciences, she said, go talk to Dr. Varshney at the University of Maryland. And she set that up. And I want to thank Dr. Varshney for the really special role he played in this, because from the beginning, his reaction is, yes, we can. And it's really nice to work with people who look at a problem and their response is, we can do this. And I want to thank him for everything he did to make it possible. I want to acknowledge the support we've also gotten from the federal government, which provided a $3 million earmark for this project. The council unanimously committed to $40 million over 5 years. State legislative delegation passed the ongoing funding to sustain this work, and their investments reflect the shared belief that Montgomery County can lead the way in life sciences and technology. As we've said before, we're number 3. Our goal is to get to number 1. Number 2 is next. And we believe this county has the wherewithal to do it. And with more things like this on the horizon, we think we will get where we want to go. This initiative also aligns with our broader vision from North Bethesda as a hub of innovation. And that vision was inspired a lot by places like Kendall Square in Boston. I had the chance to go up there and see Kendall Square and to see in a very urban environment what was happening with life sciences research. And that was important because, life sciences is also more often than not, been done in research parks. And being able to do this in an urban environment was a big deal. And that's something that, we're taking to heart and looking to see what we can bring to bear in the North Bethesda corridor. And the work being here isn't just about Montgomery County or Maryland. It really does have the potential to change lives around the world. And it feels good to be at the center of this kind of work. On Monday, I submitted a request to the County Council for a special appropriation for $3.6 million to fund critical programs aimed at addressing the rising demand for shelter, rental assistance, and eviction prevention services in the county. The reality is we're seeing a significant increase in family homelessness, 47% higher than just a year ago, according to the chart, as you can see on the point of time count from this year compared to last year. And as you can see from this regional chart from the Council of Governments from 2020 to 2024, the number of our homeless in our county has increased by 71%. A lot of that has to do with the inexorable rise of rents in the county. Rents are going up far faster than many people's incomes. That's been a pattern for a long time. Just as, from a historical perspective, the county lost over half the units that we called naturally occurring affordable housing back in the year 2000, between 2000 and 2020. Half those units are gone. We're projected to lose at least a third more of those units. And that's had a big impact because every affordable unit that we lose, and it's a net loss, makes it harder for us to house people who need housing the most and have the least resources to pay for it. So rising rents and inflation, as well as systemic barriers, are making it harder for low-income families to keep a roof over their heads. Most of these people work, I want to remind people. So they're low income because the work they get paid for doesn't pay a living wage. So it's not just an income problem, it's a wage problem. These people are going to work every day. And if you're not bringing back enough money to shelter yourself, there is actually a problem with wages. Without immediate intervention, these challenges could escalate and going to leave more of our residents in crisis. And so we decided to step forward and put this money out there. It includes support for our short-term housing and resolution program called SHARP, which helps families transition from motels or emergency shelters into permanent housing. Right now, we have families living in motels because our shelters are full. That's not a long-term solution, and it's far more costly. SHARP offers a path to stability and dignity, and this funding is going to allow us to assist over 300 families who are currently in limbo and get them into sharp housing. We'll be able to house more people with less money, and that's important. We're also requesting funding to support our eviction prevention program. Evictions just don't uproot people, they have a ripple effect that leads to long-term instability and even homelessness. And this funding will enable us to help more families stay in their homes by restoring eligibility to include households that were earning up to 60% of area median income. We just simply cannot afford to put more people on the street and see the social problems that get magnified by that. And our shelter space is very limited and for family extremely problematic. So we have to do what we can to make sure we can keep people in permanent housing. We're also requesting funds to assist households on the waiting list for rental assistance, which provides a modest but critical subsidy for disabilities, older adults, and those needing the subsidy after exiting short-term programs. These subsidies help prevent vulnerable households from falling back into homelessness. And this funding is going to allow us to assist over 130 households currently on the waiting list. I know council members have been engaged in this discussion with us and encouraging us to support the request. And we expect the council will act quickly to get this request done. They're eager to help and provide immediate relief to those who need it most. And addressing homelessness and housing instability is not just a moral obligation. It's actually a smart investment for us. Before I close, I want to take note that I am sending over a veto message of Bill 1624. And I wanted to talk about that and explain my decision again today. I cannot support a bill that reduces our ability to fund critical infrastructure projects without a viable alternative in place. You know, I've been executive now, ending about 6 years. I was a council member before. We continue to see an inability to build the infrastructure we need in the county. And our major tool has been the impact tax. It's been fundamental for the county as well as other jurisdictions. And it's supposed to ensure that new development contributes its fair share to transportation and school infrastructure that relies on that money. This bill would result in another loss of $13 million over the next 6 years. This is like the 6th time since 2013 that we've reduced these fees. If you hear somebody saying they're doing this so we can remain competitive, it is not true. Our real estate taxes are pretty much lower than anybody else in the DC region. A quick comparison, the top rate in Washington, DC for property over $10 million in value, their property tax is $1.89. If you're in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, your tax is $1.51. If you're in Montgomery County's tax is $1.04. We do not need to continue to reduce the money we get from development in order to provide the infrastructure we need. And I mentioned this numerous times to the council and to the planning board that I would very much like to move away from impact taxes because they're problematic and move to a better form of taxation, which is actually fairer, would actually result in lower taxes for developers and would at the same time result in greater revenue for the county over the life of the tax. To put it in perspective, in FY14, we collected 60 million, almost 61 million actually, in school and transportation impact taxes. By FY24, that number had dropped to 15.6 million. That's a staggering 74% reduction in annual revenues. That's not a small thing. It's a big thing. It's the reason why you see schools and transportation projects endlessly delayed, sometimes libraries and other things that we need, because the impact taxes we're collecting are no longer sufficient to build the infrastructure we need. The consequences of these revenue reductions are real and they're immediate. This year alone, we've had to delay or cut funding for key projects like the Bradley Boulevard improvements, the Forest Glen Passageway, multiple school additions, including Page Branch High School and Mill Creek Town Elementary School. These are not luxuries. These are essential to maintaining the quality of life that Montgomery County residents expect and deserve. We should not be making it harder to meet those expectations. Bill 1624 includes numerous exemptions, such as for developments near Metro Rail or projects without parking. While these exemptions aim to encourage specific types of housing, they overlook the fact that these developments still create significant demands on our infrastructures. Other jurisdictions are not having to do this to attract development. There's no reason why the county continues to go down this path. Whether it's pedestrian improvements or transit upgrades or additional school capacity, the need for investment doesn't disappear just because the impact tax is waived. If development doesn't pay its fair share, only two things happen, and you all can see them. One is, in order to get the work done, we shift the burden to residents and we raise their taxes. Or the other thing, which we probably do more often than anything else, is the infrastructure doesn't get built. No money, no building. Neither of these outcomes is acceptable. Neither of these outcomes helps us be competitive with surrounding jurisdictions. Well, I've long said that impact taxes aren't a perfect tool. Reducing them further without a replacement is short-sighted. We need to work on this, and Park and Planning has finally suggested that we take this up in the next year. We could do this very quickly, and we need to take it up within the next year. And in the meantime, while we're waiting to take it up, the last thing we needed to do was reduce our impact taxes even further. Instead, we need to develop a comprehensive alternative that ensures we have the resources to build the infrastructure our growing community needs. We have a model for this in the path that Northern Virginia took around 2013. Creation of special taxing districts on commercial property gave them the ability to raise funds to massively build out the needed infrastructure. It was supported by Democrats and Republicans, including the Republican governor and legislature. While Fairfax has used the investment to attract growth, Montgomery County has been hampered by the short-sighted attachment to reducing tax rates when we're already among the lowest in the region on commercial property. So I urge the council to please reconsider this approach and work with us to get rid of the impact taxes once and for all, and to substitute a tax program which is fair, reasonable, and will let us be competitive with the counties in Northern Virginia. I don't think this is asking too much. We can get this done in the next year, and I think we need to treat this responsibly. We will miss the money that this tax reduction will actually cost us. Before I turn it over to our HS team for their report, I just want to recognize that tomorrow will be the 5th year that we've gathered for Thanksgiving since the COVID outbreak began in 2020. And I remember the first Thanksgiving during COVID was pretty miserable, so most of us weren't enjoying much of anything. This year, there seems to be more media coverage of how to deal with family members over post-election stress than the threat of COVID, showing how far we've come with this virus in a little over half a decade now. National test positivity rates for COVID earlier this month were 3.6%, which is down significantly compared to the same weeks in 2023 at 10.1%. 2022 at 6.8%, and 2021 at 7%, but 2020 at 13.6%. This was the first time in 5 years that the rate hasn't risen in the weeks heading into Thanksgiving. Nationally, deaths from COVID are also at an all-time low. 250 people's deaths were attributed to COVID in the week of November 9th, according to the CDC. And that was the lowest week since we began tracking data in March of 2020. But we can't pretend that COVID's magically gone away. As you can see from the CDC national map of wastewater surveillance, the nation currently has low activity, but Maryland is at moderate activity for COVID. And our wastewater surveillance, these charts here show, how we rate it, and you can see for COVID, we're at moderate risk. For the flu, it's minimal. And for RSV, respiratory virus, it's very high. You can also get shots for RSV. According to the CDC, our wastewater activity in Maryland, is particularly very high. And so if you don't feel well, whether it's COVID, RSV, or flu, please consider the health of others, especially older adults, or those who are immunocompromised, before gathering with them throughout the upcoming holidays. It's good that we're not where we were 5 years ago, but let's remember this virus still contagious, and it can still be deadly, especially for the immunocompromised. I'm now going to turn this over to Lorna for any other updates, and then we'll answer any other questions you have. I guess HHS is next on the updates.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. I just wanted to share a little bit of information here. I think that I haven't done this in a while, but I think you can see this. I just wanted to share that our immunizations team is doing lots of clinics, both through the month of November and December, to help our uninsured populations get their COVID shots, get their flu shots. Again, we advertise that you can call our immunizations number, and if you're looking for a vaccination, they'll help you out. Again, we're primarily helping those who do not have insurance over lots of places in the county. As you shared, again, we're very fortunate that COVID spread is very low right now this time of year, and influenza spread is low. We do expect those to start going up, as they almost always do, as people travel and gather. And so if you're doing traveling this week and you're on a plane or on other transportation, consider wearing a mask. And if you have any sort of respiratory disease, either hold off visiting someone who's at risk, our older family members and friends, or wear a mask when you're seeing them. We don't want to share these diseases with them. And as you can see, as our county executive mentioned, RSV is spreading through, and while it does not cause a lot of serious illness in our children, it does cause serious illness in our seniors. Finally, I just want to, again, recognize we're up to 10 nursing homes or assisted living facilities in our county who have vaccinated more than 75% of their residents for COVID. We're very excited about that. We continue to work and encourage all of our facilities to vaccinate those seniors. If you have a family member in one of the facilities, please work with the facility and make sure there's consent to get that shot. So that's all the updates I have. I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Davis or Dr. Ashford if they have anything additional to add.
Additional for me. Thank you, Sean. Nothing additional. Thank you.
Dr. Bridgers, do you have anything additional? Okay. Dr. Stoddard?
No, I think we can.
Nothing? Okay, so we'll open it up for questions from the media. General questions, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. If you have any questions for the county executive and other officials this afternoon. Jeannie Bixby, Local 360, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Lorna. Good afternoon, Mark. I have a question for you, Mark. I spoke today with some members of the board of the Noise Children's Library. They were sharing that they are concerned that the project for the renovation expansion has been canceled, that they were contacted by DGS a couple weeks ago. And they're saying that they're holding up their end of the MOU and they don't feel that the county is. Could you kind of share your perspective on what's going on here? Is this project being removed from the CIP?
It's not being removed from the CIP, but we're going to have a discussion about how this project's going to go forward. We actually put it out to bid, and the result of the bids was that the project's going to be far worse than we anticipated. And while the Friends Group has provided some money, it's not close to the bulk of the cost of this project, and we are not prepared this year to go forward with adding even more money to the project. This is not going to be a good year for us for some things, and so we did not recommend putting more money in, but we kept the project in the budget. Like other projects, they get delayed, and this will be one that we have to figure out how we're going to get additional funding. So I don't know where they got the idea that it was pulled from the budget, but it's not pulled from the budget, and we're just going to have to figure out how we go forward, whether it's either figuring out where more money comes from or figuring out what we can reduce in terms of the scope of the project. We have to have that discussion with them, and that discussion will happen.
Could you kind of elaborate a little bit on how like these public-private partnerships work? Because I mean, this is not an insubstantial amount of money. They've raised over 1.5 million. What they were sharing with me today is that they're concerned that large donors could be upset and maybe take legal action. Could you talk about kind of how those commitments work? Because I know that they can be kind of a little hard for the public to understand.
We rarely do a project like this for those reasons, because it's complicated. I mean, the amount of money they were assigned is not the bulk of the project. There is some state money, and that's not the bulk of the project. And in terms of the cost estimates and this having gone up so much, what was once seemed like a reasonable amount of money to contribute is no longer adequate to contribute. So, you know, in the course of things, if this was a regular school project or library project, if we had a shortfall in things like impact taxes, for example, we would be in a situation where you would just make a decision to push the funding back to a later year. If you didn't have all the money this year, you would put it back in the CIP to a year that you expected to have enough money to cover the cost of the project. As I said earlier, our drop this year from our peak is about $74 million. That's not a tiny amount of money, and that's kind of set us back. But this is the price of endlessly reducing the amount of fees we collect. So we're going to deal with it. We'll figure out, like I said, we'll figure out whether we can maintain the scope. We'll see whether there's additional funding we can find someplace, or we can figure out where we can fit it in when we think we will have the funding in the budget to do it. But we will figure out something. But it may not wind up looking exactly the way we envisioned it.
Do you have?
It's not costing what we envisioned.
Do you have the estimate, or could somebody send me the estimate?
Yes, I can have that sent to you.
Okay, thank you.
I think we know your number.
Okay, I think so too. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeannie. Members of the media, any more questions for the county executive this afternoon? Please raise your hands. No more questions? Once? Twice? I guess not. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful, happy, and safe Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all for joining us.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers, but there's only